I've been wanting to talk about my Madden story for a really long time, and a big thank you to EA for sponsoring this video so I can finally make this story happen. My first argument that I can ever remember was over a game of Madden. It was 4th down, and I did what I was supposed to do. I ran a fake punt. Am I proud of that? I mean, kinda. My older brother was extremely mad that I ran that fake punt, probably more so mad that I actually converted it though. And I mean, look, I understand why. If I had the chance to do it over again, knowing everything I know now, I'd absolutely do it again. I mean, real talk, just play better defense. You don't want a fake punt run against you, play better D. But seriously though, Madden has been a long part of my life. I'm not gonna say that when I was 2 or 3 I was playing, cause my thumbs didn't work like that. But when I got older, like 8, 9 years old, I was playing Madden. I mean, we're talking about the days where John Madden would yo boom when somebody got hit like crazy hard, or that he could drive a Mack truck through the offensive line holder they ultimately open up for him. Those were some of my favorite days and my earliest experiences with Madden. Now, to be perfectly honest though, I genuinely had no idea who John Madden was. I just knew he was this dude that was commentating on my gameplay and saying funny things, but I just wanted to wait for the next game to drop every year. I didn't know who John Madden was. Hundreds, and I mean hundreds of arguments later though, against friends and family playing Madden, I finally learned who John Madden was. He was a college athlete, and a really good one at that, who suffered a career-ending knee injury literally his rookie year once he got to the NFL. And I'm sure that sucked at the time, but he went on to coach college, and then at 32 he's coaching in the NFL, and a few years later the dude wins the Super Bowl against the Vikings. I mean, we're talking about a guy who won 75% of his NFL games. Think about that. He coached for 10 seasons and won 75% of his games. Dude was a legend. But all of that happened way before I was born though. My introduction to John Madden was through the video game, and then him being a broadcaster, and ultimately he was the guy that broke down this complex game of football and made it easy for me to understand, but never made me feel dumb. As a kid, my brain was all over the place, probably still is, and I didn't really know a lot of football jargon or these crazy things they were talking about. I didn't know what a defensive coverage was or how to diagnose it. I was just trying to watch football and big hits happen. But again, John Madden found ways to break those conversations down, break that jargon down, and help me understand what a cover 2 defense was, or why a quarterback was doing something, or why a corner was doing something. I was finally figuring out why these things were happening. I could apply it to my own games in Madden. And as the years went on, Madden, the game, became way more advanced. I was heavy into playing sports at that point, but literally after school or practice or doing my homework, I was begging my friends to come over because I was labbing different strategies and playbooks and things I wanted to try against them. And honestly, I probably lost a lot of friendships over Madden 2004. I mean, Michael Vick, Brian Finneran, that was a combo that just could not be stopped, especially when I had them. And then in Madden 2005, one of my favorite Maddens of all time, I got, I guess, kind of grounded a lot because I was supposed to go to bed and I just stayed up real late. I literally played thousands of games online. I loved that game. And that was really my first real time of understanding what online play felt like in Madden, and I was hooked. And when I got to college in the fall of 2006, the first question I asked every single person was their name. And then the second one was, do you play Madden? Look, you gotta understand, I grew up in Virginia. We had no professional sports teams, and the only allegiance that I really was passionate about were the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was a team that both of my parents loved, and I was like, you know what? If they're loving the Steelers, I'm loving the Steelers too. But in college, it was so cool because people were coming from across the country, and they had different allegiances because they were from a city that had a sports team. They were super passionate about that, and nothing was more fun than taking their rival team when they had their favorite team and absolutely destroying them. And it was really at this point that Madden went from being sort of a hobby that I loved doing to something that I literally had to do every single day. Finished with practice, I'm trying to squeeze in a game of Madden. Finished with class, I'm squeezing in a game of Madden. Someone talking about football or the NFL in the lobby, y'all play Madden? Let's go ahead and run a game real quick. With college though, outside of playing people in the dorms, I used Madden to stay connected to my friends back home or friends who went to school across the country. I mean, catching up with your friends with a side of trash talk, that is how friendships are supposed to work. But at this point, I'd been running a website since my senior year of high school called Stick Skills, and it was focused on sports and video games and shooters and literally everything. And while I'm trying to sneak in games in between practice and classwork and the homework that I'm supposed to be doing, some people at EA actually noticed my website and reached out to me. EA Sports down in Orlando had launched a program called the Game Changers, or the EA Sports Game Changers. It was a sort of program where you got to give feedback to the developers, maybe you got to go to the studio and some other cool things. And I was like, yeah, I'm down to be involved. Honestly, it was really cool to be one of the early members in that program, if you want to give, feedback to the developers via email and different stuff. But one day they said, do you want to come down to the studio, play the game early, talk to some other people that play Madden, and just give some feedback on what you think the game is like? That is the quickest yes I've ever given in my entire life. I got to sit in the room with the people that made this game, with other Madden players from across the country, some even across the world at that point, and talk about what we loved about the game, what we didn't like about the game, what we wanted to improve, ideas we had for the future. That was one of the coolest things I've ever been able to do. And I've genuinely been down to that studio so many times that I've lost count of how many times I've been down there, but every single trip is still special. And even a few years later, when EA Sports launched the Madden Hall of Fame committee, I was one of the inaugural members of that and one of the youngest members they ever had in that that too. The game of Madden has always been super special to me because it's honestly more than a game to me. It's a way for me to stay connected with friends that I haven't seen in years. It's a way for me to entertain people on my YouTube channel, which has grown over 200,000 subs. It's a way for me to honor friends and family that have passed away over the years with series that are inspired by them or their namesake. And one of the craziest things to me is that soon enough, it'll be a way for me to connect with my kids over games of Madden, and you better believe some trash talk. Look, with Madden 23 dropping later this year, it just makes me incredibly happy to see John Madden on the cover of this game yet again. That is the first Madden I ever picked up, was Madden 64 back when I was 9, and it was just John Madden on the cover. I'm incredibly sad to see John Madden go because of what he's obviously meant to me, but to see him honored on this cover again, and for all these people to sort of learn the story of John Madden, what he means to all these people, what he meant to the game of football, what he's meant to this game of Madden. You love to see it. Madden taught me the game of football through the actual video game, through his broadcast, and I used a lot of that when I was even playing the football field on my own side. When I lost loved ones, best friends, family members, whoever that might have been when I was younger, after funerals, I would literally come home and just load up Madden and play, whether it was franchise mode or go online and play to take my mind off of things, just help myself grieve a little bit. When it all comes down to it though, I owe a lot to John Madden and the legacy that he's created. I'm sad that I never got a chance to actually meet John Madden, shake his hand and tell him what he's ultimately done for me, but I'm happy that EA's given me a chance to tell my Madden story and how the man, the game, and these past 25 years have changed my life for the better. John Madden, thank you for all you've done. Even though you're gone, I'm happy to see you back on the cover where you rightfully belong. That's my Madden story though, but I would love to hear your Madden story. So in the YouTube comments down below, or on Instagram for DMs, or Twitter for DMs, just hit me up and tell me your Madden story. Whatever this game has done for you in some way, shape, or form, I'd love to hear that. Be safe, be smart, tell somebody you love them. Catch you guys on the next one.